Welcome to this week's LEGO City update, in which I'm finally going to start with the upper platform of the city. So firstly, we'll have to finish the transition. I'm using a new type of fence. I've in fact never used that in the city before. I always like to mix up these sort of elements. Having different sorts of fences distributed within the LEGO City just makes it more interesting for the viewer. Also, you can see me dividing the different sections of the fence via profile bricks in light bluish gray, so that sort of connects the wall beneath the fence with the fence section itself. Having that done, it's time for probably already my favorite part of this week's update, closing the gap between the upper platform and the wall section. You can see two studs of the base plates are actually sort of floating. However, the whole thing is more than stable enough, and as you can see right here, the studs of the wall section and the studs of the base plates are exactly on one level, which was my goal. So it's time to start with the tiling on the upper platform. I always like to incorporate some sort of green, especially in these very, very gray areas. We're directly above the wall, which is entirely built out of light bluish gray profile bricks, so it's extremely important to add not only color, but also contrast. That's one thing that was entirely lacking up to this point. And also I like to add contrast not only by adding different types of colors, but also by adding different shades of the same color. That's what I'm doing with the light bluish gray around the flower beds, which then separates the upcoming dark bluish gray tiling. And the exact same thing I've mentioned that I was doing with the different shades of gray, I'm now doing with the different types of green. So you can see me laying down the base layer in bright green and then adding the flower stems, which are normal green. So we later on in this update continue with more flower beds and more greenery, but for now I want to start with the tiling. So I've actually decided to build a pattern with these 2x2 flat tiles in dark bluish gray instead of simply arranging them exactly side to side by each other, which would then be a bit too boring. Throughout the speed build, you'll always see me adding jumper plates. That's just in preparation for the minifigures later on, so they don't fall over and that I have something to fix them with. Now I've been thinking a lot about how I could connect the path, which I built directly onto the base plate, with the rest of the city, which I've built onto mills, which means that the rest of the city is one brick and one plate on top of the brick higher than the base plate, which now sort of creates this problem that I somehow need to connect the lower section that I've built now with the rest of the city. And I'll do that by firstly adding stairs, and secondly I'm already adding a sidewalk edge for the buildings, which will then be placed behind the part which I'm building now. As you can see, I'm already starting to bring the whole section to life by adding minifigures, and then I thought I needed not only more color but also something in addition to separate the lower path from the upper one, and so I've decided to add some flowers. Having reached the edge and finished it off with more greenery, it's time to continue with the wall. I'm only adding one layer of profile bricks in light bluish gray, but that's just the foundation for stairs I'm planning on building down to the lower section, also on the other side of the 2 train tracks. And that then also explains the dark bluish gray tiling leading directly to the wall. At the moment you directly fall to your death probably, so in future I'm obviously adding stairs. Having connected the wall and added some basic stability, it's time to continue with the fence. I've moved the whole thing by 1 stud in order to fit the ending of the fence with the ending of the path. That's always the problem with those big elements. The fences are 1x4 studs and I can't separate them, so I somehow had to improvise there. One thing I've been also working on over the past week is the section between the modified assembly square, our new modular building mock, and the modified donut store, because there was still tiling missing, as you can see. The tiling simply consists out of these triangular flat tiles in dark blue and white. That's in order to add some color, and also by using these triangular flat tiles, I was able to break the very linear structure of the whole thing and added some diagonals. One more thing I've added back here is an elevator that actually leads from the parking garage down there onto this platform and then onto the upper section of the Lego City. So there are actually 3 different levels to the elevator, and it's one of those corner elevators. There you can see another door. So apparently they exist, didn't know that too, but for our purpose right here, it's absolutely perfect. The next thing I'm trying to do is design a building for this corner right here. I want a nice facade facing towards this section of the Lego City. I know the viewer who's normally somewhere in this direction won't be able to see it, but I simply want the city to look good from all different angles, not only the facades facing the viewer. Regarding the stairs I've mentioned in the video, they will be obviously connected to this part up here, but I'm not quite sure if I want the exact same style of stairs as I've built back here. But what I'm imagining at the moment is that I somehow want to have this brick structure also for the stairs. So the stairs will then actually be directly connected to the wall or built into the wall instead of having this other separate construct around the wall. For the area up here, I'm already collecting the first design elements of the buildings. I'm sort of aiming for a similar building type to these buildings down here, so this modular building style type of house. The most difficult house will be the corner building right in front, simply because it's so extremely exposed. So that's also the building I'm spending the most time on. And other than that, the different design ideas all come while building. So that's it for this week's Lego City update. I really hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you don't want to miss any future Lego City updates. And then I hope I'll see you again in the next one.